Hi guys, Ronnie here. Since the year 2017 is now slowly coming to an end, today I decided to show you 5 of my favorite products that I have switched to this year, and they have all changed my cycling to the better. So the first thing, and perhaps the most influential, as you can see, I'm doing it right now, and is the Multispeed wax chain treatment. I have talked a lot about this and how to use it, what are the benefits. Here's the raw product itself. Previously I have hated chain maintenance and chain lubrication because I'm sure you are quite aware of it. You clean your chain, you degrease your complete drive chain, put some oil lube in it, go for a short spin, and it's all dirty and mucky and all black. If you touch it, you're never going to wash it off, and it's very, very nasty. It has a lot of friction and so on. Whereas now it's been completely solved by this Multispeed wax, chain specific wax. A lot of people comment on my videos, they use regular paraffin wax and they complain that it doesn't work very well. Well, of course it doesn't. Multispeed wax is specifically formulated to use on chains, so it has some additives that make it last longer and make the friction lower. One downside is a chain is going to be a bit louder, but friction facts have now shown that it has nothing to do with the friction. So a louder chain doesn't mean there's a lot of friction. Perhaps some people might say, okay, it's a bit laborious, but if I look at it from a long-term perspective, using it for a whole season, all I have to do basically once a month, set up the cooking stove, set up the degreaser and the ultrasonic cleaner, take all my chains off my bikes and my spare chains, wax them up, and then I ride these chains until they need waxing again, which, yeah, I don't ride too much in terms of volume, quite a lot in terms of intensity, and yeah, it lasts me for around a month of intensive riding. So, and besides from this, I have to do no chain maintenance and also no real lubrication while on the bike, no checking it, you just step on and ride. So this is the first thing, perhaps the most useful and influential, Multispeed wax. You can find plenty of other videos on my channel regarding this. Then the second one, in terms of nutrition. So for my racing and training, I use Asia's isotonic gels. These are excellent. However, there is a small problem. The packaging is quite inconsistent. So when you pull the tab off, sometimes you create a huge hole, so you just spill it all over your face. Sometimes the hole is very small, so you're having a hard time in drinking it, and it's generally quite a hassle. You have to carry around empty gel packets in your pocket if you don't want a liter, which I hope you don't. So it's just not very practical. So I've seen it, or I have seen Adam Hansen do it, and I've copied it, and it works very well. I have bought some of these Hydropack soft flasks, and what I do is I take my gels and put them in here before the ride, so this way I just reach into my pocket and take a sip. Another advantage is that you can sip, of course this is a resealable or a self-resealing nozzle on there, so you drink as much as you want or as little as you want, and then you just put that in your pocket, no spillage, no littering, no waste. So really, really excellent product. It's quite expensive for what it is, but I think it's worth it. Worth those 10 or 15 euros, I think. This is the 150 ml, and it fits 3 gels in there. I also have 2 50 mls, which fit a lot more, and you can just add some water in there or whatever. So excellent product, I really recommend using it. It saves a lot of time and hassle during the race, during the training rides, and yeah, it works for me. I think it should work for you. Then another thing, previously I didn't really like to ride in the rain because my feet and hands really get cold and wet, and I've tried all kinds of overshoes. They don't really work. They keep you warm at first, but as soon as you hit some standing water or anything like that, it's just all over and your feet are wet. That's not really a pleasant feeling. And I have found that the only solution for this is buying some Velotoes long shoe covers, which are very light. They are very cheap. These are basically just well, I will put it this way, it's a latex condom for your shoes, and it seals it 100%. I also tape the underside vent on my shoes for wet riding, and in combination with this, I get dry feet no matter what the conditions are. So really excellent product. Putting it on is a little bit of a hassle, and it might take a couple of minutes, but you will be very thankful for those when riding in the wet. Yeah, so this is my third product. Then the fourth one is going to be a little bit more expensive and a larger product, but bear with me on this. So if you've been watching my channel, then you probably know that drivetrains and wheel sets are some of my favorite things. And I've tried I think at least 10 wheel sets in the last 2 years, all of them quite high-end stuff, and most of them work very well, but none of them really stood out until I got these. So at first I was quite pissed at Envy because these wheels took an awfully long time to make their way to me. So these are the 7.8 Smart Envy System clinchers, and I have been thoroughly impressed with them. And the reason for that is, despite their depth, so they're 71 mm in the front, 80 mm at the rear, they are extremely stable, and they are so stable, in fact, I found it quite hard to believe, but even at my weight of 60 kilos, I can ride these in basically any conditions. So 40 km per hour crosswind on a road bike, no problem at all, which is frankly amazing, and I have never really tried anything other like that. Of course, when you're buying a deep set like these, you care about speed and aerodynamics. Well, these have plenty going for them because they are the fastest in independent tests by some margin. So stability, I think, is the most important, because if you can't ride them, they are doing no good to you. Then the speed, of course, very important. They are the fastest, so that's to check. They're also fairly light, so my bike only comes at 7.4 kilos with a pair of these, which is, again, it's excellent. And then finally, they are tubeless ready, which means the lowest possible rolling resistance, the best possible puncture protection, paired with these Schwalbe Pro On tires. Really just an excellent all-round option. Then, not to mention, Envy have arguably the best brake track on a carbon clincher or carbon wheel, period. And it works very well in the wet, it works very well in the dry, so best braking. Stiffness is also good. You've got very nice carbon hubs in there, ceramic street bearings, so that's another plus. They're wide, they fit wide tires, and what else to say about these? They look pretty cool, they're exclusive, so everything basically you want in a deep set of carbon clinchers is found, but I have been found here, but I have really been staggered by just how stable and rideable these are in all conditions. So I think next year I think this will be my wheel set of choice for most races. Even though I have the 4.5s, which some people might say they are all-rounders, but again, these 7.8s are just so stable that I think I will be able to get away with them in most conditions. Okay, and the final thing now, perhaps equally important as the chain waxing itself, but it's more related to the wheels that I have been talking about. So last season, in the year 2016, I wasn't really racing, but despite that, I was using tubular tires all the time and tubular wheel sets all the time, because I've been told that that's the ultimate performance package. And as I read more and more about it, I realized that that's just not much more than a tradition thing, and people really have a lot of misconceptions about these. So I started comparing the stats, and the first thing that immediately springs to mind is that most manufacturers really focus on their clinchers. So basically the whole Zip NSW lineup, or their most modern wheels, their highest end wheels, they're all clinchers now. And people are starting to ban the tubulars, and that's for a very good reason. So the first most obvious thing, of course, is practicality, because here I have a punctured tubular, almost brand new. It costs a lot to replace, for the first thing. Then it's a lot of hassle. You have to reglue the rim, wait a day for the glue to set, then you have to put the tire on, again wait for the glue to set. If you want to change tires, then you have to clean everything off. If you don't want it to look messy, the glue just starts to build up. You have to use solvent to get it all over your hand. It's not very healthy or practical in any way. So people seem to still think that tubulars are faster, so they keep using them despite this. But actually, if you look at the stats from rolling resistance tests, clinchers, basically all high-end clinchers, outperform even the highest end tubulars by quite some margin. So that's not really a benefit anymore. Then, since the clincher tires fit much snugger on the rim, they have the bead which they press into. The interface between the rim and the tire is much smoother, so you get better aerodynamics. Bike Radar have done a very good video about this, comparing the same brand or the same type of MV wheels in clincher and tubular format. The clinchers came out way faster despite being a lot heavier. Then the weight, as I said, is still a factor, and it's a big plus for tubulars because they are lighter, but it turns out that the added weight doesn't outweigh the aerodynamic or the rolling resistance gains, so overall the clinchers are going to be faster everywhere. One last thing that could bother clincher users is the safety in this sense. Of course, this is still the case with cheaper rims or with older designs. You can still cause heat-induced brake failure, but I think when you look at a modern set of rims, like these MVs for example, they have come a long way from that, and the testing just shows that there's really not much reason for concern in terms of braking, and the brake surfaces are extremely good again, in the wet, in the dry. They have reliable stopping power all around, and I can't see any reason to doubt that after my experiences with a lot of carbon wheels. So now for this season I switched to clincher tires and wheels, and I have been very impressed. I like the ease of which you can change tires to suit different conditions. I have my cross bike set up with clincher tubeless tires, and I never got a single puncture in the whole year, which I think just shows that tubulars don't even have the edge on that. Some people say they're harder to puncture and pinch puncture, but last year I got 2 punctures with tubulars, and they were both from a foreign object piercing through the tire, whereas with the clinchers I never had any issues. So yeah, I could say I've tried a lot of things, I've changed a lot of things for this season, and I think I won't really change too much for the next season because the modifications I have made, I'm really happy with those. So I hope you can find some inspiration in this video. That's all for today. I wish you all the best for the upcoming season. Take care and meet you on the channel next time.